very warm welcome to Great Principles. I am Seema Chhoriya. Great Principles, an educational and interactive talk show that brings together best school leader from the world. Leadership is not the license to do less, but the responsibility to do more. As children, while playing or studying, we never realized that one day we would have to choose to be a leader or to be led by someone someday. The only thing that matter are the happy moments we spend together. Yet, unknowingly, we learn skills that shall one day write our success stories or actions which disappoint. Join me today to hear my proactive guest speak on why leaders need to focus on responsibility as a core value addition. Please join me in welcoming Mrs. Varsha Agarwal Rodewald, Secondary School Principal, SN International School, Mumbai. Welcome to Great Principles, ma'am. It's an honor to have you.
Thank you so much for having me, Seema. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
So let us begin this conversation from where it all started. So once upon a time, you chose this vacation because you thought that a teacher changes minds every single day. So now you are a leader. So tell me one thing, ma'am. Now, how can school leader practice to be thoughtful and responsible?
Mhm. Seema, I think I can speak, of course, of my journey and my experience. And I just believe that because my journey started out as a teacher and, having spent many, many years in the classroom today, I feel that I'm better equipped to, do my duties as a leader at school. Because it's easier for me to understand what the classroom teachers actually face, on a day to day basis, what student interaction means. And I think just because of my own experience there, I'm able to do justice to this role. Of course, being an administrator is very, very different from being an educator, but just having that experience adds to your skill set. You are, of course, required to be empathetic in your role as a leader, but empathizing with the teacher, is a completely different approach. So I understand, what my teachers need. If my teachers are coming to me with requests of, let's try things this way and not another way, I trust them because I know that they are actually dealing with the students daily on a one-to-one basis, and they know the needs of the student best. So instead of, me deciding for them, it's they who trial and error. And of course, you learn as you teach in the classroom every day. You also make your mistakes as a teacher and you grow. So I just believe that just having that background equips me, and just makes me more responsible, and also helps my teachers understand what responsibility towards students mean. And I think whenever we've reached a conflict situation, we've always said, let's keep the student in focus and work backwards, and then we're all on the same page at some point.
Absolutely. And that is what is required. When student is the epicenter, then the
Yes.
entire meaning of education is fulfilled. So, ma'am,
Yes.
these days I'm observing a trend where I'm seeing very young principals joining in as school leaders. And you mentioned that being a teacher help you in the leadership role because you understand how it is to be on the other side. So tell me, how is this thing? How do you take up this thing when, people just directly enter into leadership without having an experience of teaching at all?
Seema, very valid question. And, my journey in education actually started very late. And I'm very grateful for that, actually, because I think I am the leader today because of all those experience that I have had. I believe that even if you're taking over responsibility as a principal very, very young, you should not give up teaching. I think the principals should definitely teach at least one subject of their choice, just to keep, it's like a reality check. You can't just be advising people when you are not involved in that process, of teaching and learning on a day to day basis. So I would recommend that the young teachers should definitely walk their path as an educator before diving into this, because it's not going to make your work any easier if you have not walked that path. Your life can be very, very challenging. So I think if you've done your teaching and are keeping your teaching alive, you're actually making your work a lot easier. So that's what I would recommend. Keep that one subject alive, teach what you can. I know you can't teach full time, that's not possible, but I think teaching one subject, that's what I do. I used to teach language acquisition, now I teach TOK in the diploma program. So I'm connected to my students, I'm connected to the classroom and the needs of the classroom.
Completely agree with you, ma'am. I think this is the best way. When you teach, you connect to students. You cannot just connect with them sitting in the cabins or just taking round or just meeting them often. So this is completely acceptable. That what you need to do is to connect with the student, and that is best done when you teach them. Because when you teach them, you are closely in touch with them, and you understand how the class is functioning, how teachers are reacting, how students are reacting. So a good take that every school leader must ensure that they must keep on teaching at least one subject, maybe for a limited time, just for a few minutes, they can just interact with the student, but that is what is required. So wonderful take from this answer. Going ahead in our conversation, ma'am, teachers have to be very, very careful on how they act and teach young, absorbing and observing minds. Teachers are supposed to be great observers because they actually have to understand what is going in the mind of the child. So why is it important for an educator to conduct oneself consciously?
Mm-hmm. It's very difficult, this task, Seema, believe me, especially at the secondary school level. You're dealing with adolescent learners. They have their mood swings. They are going through a phase where emotionally they are, on a roller coaster. Physically, they are going through changes. So I think no teacher is really born with that skill set. I think you develop that. And, our approach at school at Ascend, is so individualized. So I think that's our big plus, because we are so used to dealing with students at an individual level, having individual conversations. We have flexible schedules where, of course, you meet as a class, but then you also make time to meet on a one-on-one basis. So I think it makes it slightly easier for the teacher too, because you're getting to know that student at that one-to-one level. Very often our parents say that, our students better than us. And I think that helps. So I think you don't consciously act in a certain way, but just because you know the student so well, it comes very naturally to you, to help them or support them with the challenges they are facing in terms of friendships, or in terms of academic challenges. So I think it's a journey. This consciously reacting, but I think that especially in a school setup like ours, which is small, very personal, very individual, I think that is the key, to have this individual approach going.
Yeah, ma'am, we all talk about handling the child when he is in a turmoil, when he is not in the right emotional fit. So, many a times I come across this question from my viewers that we all, at times, I mean, I'm sure you're going to agree, we all had a first crush in our school days. There was someone whom we liked, or someone liked us, or kind of infatuation, something kind of thing. And so, they asked us, why not at school level? We teach children to deal with the breakups, heartbreaks, heartaches. Why don't we teach our children to move on? So, what is your take on this?
I think it is a very, very valid question from the viewers. And honestly, at our school, we do have a program that we call the advisory, where we meet in like mixed age groups. It could be from 6th to 8th grade, because that's where, the thought process is slightly similar. And then from the 9 to 12s, where they have many different questions. So in the advisory program, many, learning experiences are designed to actually deal with this. For example, even during the pandemic, just dealing with trauma and death, we don't speak about it, right? But this was a situation that the students face, so it's also reality of life. So yes, we do, at our school especially, have intentionally put this into place for students to have a space and place to talk about it in a safe environment. It takes time, nobody opens up so easily, but I think you model that. It's okay for you to
Yeah.
say that you go through a hard time because you maybe had some trouble, at home, or you fought with someone. And I think when they see you do that and be open about that, of course you do it in a balanced way. You're not going to whine and kind of explain. But it's okay to say, I don't feel good because of this. So they see that, they see the teachers modeling that. And also in the advisory program, it is very well laid out and actually run by our learning support team that helps the students to address these questions, or also let them bring up these questions and then see where the conversation takes us.
Very much required, these kind of setups in the school environment, because at times children feel so lost. I can't go to parents, they might not understand. What if teacher also doesn't understand? Then what will happen? So there is someone else, so that person is there in my life to guide me and support me. That is the time when the children deviate from their path. So this is again a wonderful take from ma'am's answer, that we need to have such kind of advisory boards where we have counselors or coaches, or those who are guiding them and teaching them how to just hear them out. At times all children want is just hear me out, please, and don't judge me. So because we parents and teacher become judgmental at times with them. Yeah.
Yes, Seema, right. Like you said, sometimes they need that third party, that's not their immediate homeroom teacher. Of course, we have the homeroom teacher set up, but sometimes they just need to talk to another adult, who is probably detached from that situation. So we have those opportunities in place. We consider that all of us are responsible for a student and not just the homeroom teacher. So they know that I will always be able to talk to someone,
Yeah.
whoever I feel comfortable with.
Right. So again, this kind of setup is required, which many schools even today doesn't have it. They lack on this point. So this is we are now looking forward, especially after these 2 years, as you very much very rightly mentioned, that children have gone through a lot. They are not able to explain, but there has been a very huge emotional impact on their brains, on their minds when they are not meeting friends, seeing so much around them. So moving ahead in our conversation now, ma'am, achievement denotes progress, a new skill, promotion. It comes in the form of promotion or in the form of rewards, and we all love when we are appreciated and recognized. So, what are some of the merits educators, must invest in according to you?
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's a tricky question. I think that you know your needs best. But I'll just give you an example of how we figure that out, in our school context. Every year, we have a lot of collaborative meetings. I think we are a school that meets a lot, and twice a week we are meeting and
Mhm.
discussing. And we have set up what we call a goal setting program, for our teachers. It's connected with professional learning communities, and I'll just explain that in brief. So the teachers, over a period of 3 4 months, when the school just about starts, start identifying, okay, this is what I need, this is what I need to improve on, this is my skill set, because you can't have like an overarching suggestion, right, that all teachers need to do this to be able to perform at a certain level. So it's
Yeah.
them, who identify that, and of course then we have a conversation about, this is what I need to learn. Why do I think this course or this webinar or this IB professional development workshop or this degree is going to help me, and what can I bring back to the team and the school? Then of course our school, for example, is very generous with professional development, and they are given that opportunity, they're giving the time that they need. And then we also take this at a very like all team level, where we then, when we have our goals in place at the individual level, we also discuss, what am I seeing, are there any fellow teachers who want to work on the same thing? So we can come in these small collaborative groups and then share our teaching and learning. So this is how these professional learning communities develop, and I think they are very, very important. You get more out of what you are researching, or a course that you're attending. So it's very, very individualistic. It's not really, one answer for all, one fit for all, that this is what you can
Right.
do. I just think being engaged, being in touch with educators, just being very aware of your needs, your growth, trying out different strategies of teaching. I mean, we are flooded with information every day, right? Try this project based learning.
Mhm.
So try what you think is best for you, what works in your context, and then decide, this is how I want to grow. So this is how we determine that growth trajectory then.
Right, and it is said that you learn best with your peers in whichever age group you are. So when you model that, you have people, those who are in the same boat, those who are in the same shoe, and they know that what worked for us, what not. So it's all about experimenting. And you rightly said, you need to understand what you need to do. You have to identify where you're lagging and upskill yourself. Right.
Yes.
So completely agree with you there. Moving ahead, ma'am, in all honesty, I always seek out my strongest supporter and advisor, my husband, to guide and critique me in my advisor. And in my endeavors, and with all honesty, he always come up with the answer that whatever he has, he can tell me ahead. So as an educator, name an educationist you look upon for your inspiration, advice, and support.
Mhm. Okay, Seema, that's a very tricky question. I have many, but I'd like to mention, Sir Ken Robinson. And,
Mhm.
I have always admired his sense of humor towards, what education should be. And if you listen to all his TED Talks and, also his books, I think he's very, very inspiring, because he talked a lot about, he's no more, unfortunately, how schools are killing creativity, and how this schooling system was actually designed, for the industrial revolution, where you needed mass production of a certain skill. But we have moved far away from that, and not many schools and systems have managed to make that leap that was required. So I highly admire his approach, and I read his books. His book also, The Element, is very, very interesting, where it talks about how you have to make students realize, what they want to do. It's about bringing out the best in them. It's not just about, this is what our curriculum is, this is the unit that we're doing, and this is the outcome that we want, but what are you going to take away from this? So
Right.
just when you're in your element, you don't realize you're in that flow. It doesn't feel like work anymore. It just you're just there. There is this energy around you, and I think that is what I always try to take away from what he said, and try to implement whatever little I can with my team at school. Of course, there are many more, and it would be an endless discussion, but I think this one stands out for me.
Yeah. And I think, ma'am, very true that yes, schools are creating creativity because we are still in that zone where we were in that era of industrial revolution. At times, I feel, is it a school or a factory? All
Yes,
coming in the same uniform, bell is
yes,
ringing, sitting, eating food, going back.
yes,
At times, and even when I was in school, I used to feel like this. Why is this like everything is so structured? Can't we have just
yes,
little free flow time? And as
yes.
it is, when there are so many codes, plays the greatest form of learning, then why aren't we allowed to speak so much? You know, because back in those days, we were always told one thing: keep quiet and focus what ma'am is teaching.
Yes,
No
yes,
talking.
Seema, you're so right. That's how I grew up, where it was just listen and then you got to regurgitate everything, right? I remember going to,
Yeah.
when I was at university, I went to Edinburgh for the like to do my master's. And when I was asked that, what do you think? And I honestly didn't know how to answer that questions because I was never asked that question that what is your take? What is your perspective? What do you think? It was just about, everything that was in the books and this great person said this and, you write that. But what is my take on that? And I think this is what I so cherish in our classrooms when students are sharing their perspectives, honoring perspectives. They are also debating, where they disagree with each other, but it's creative conflict. You're getting towards something together by discussing and honoring perspectives. So I think that's so valuable, and we missed out on that opportunity. I so often, I hope, I wish I was a student in the classrooms of our school rather than being a teacher, but I just think I still get to be at a school and I cherish those moments.
At least we are happy that change has come in when our children are in the school and they are not facing the same what we. So hoping
Yes.
much more changes coming in, and now the revolutionary NEP, when it is all set, let's see the education going to next level, and fingers crossed, hopefully it will.
Yes, I do think that people are thinking about it, and that's a step forward, right? At least it's not
Yeah.
something that's on some table shelved. It's, I think, just having these conversations going, and listening to politicians even talking about it or wanting to discuss it
Yeah.
is a good step ahead. And also, I think it would be great to maybe involve teachers onto programs like these. And I know that has happened too because I know of
Yeah.
colleagues who are now on the board and are discussing it. So it's a step forward. Yes.
Yeah, certainly. I had few days back a guest on my show who was telling me that I was a part of this
Yes.
revolutionary policy, and I can assure you that it's going to be great, provided how well it is implemented. Yeah, so there is still that buts and if, but yes, as you rightly said, at least we are talking about it.
Yes.
You know, so
Yes.
hoping for a very greater changes in education system and seeing our nation going forward. So on this note, we reach to the very interesting segment of the show. This is called rapid fire round.
Oh
So
my
you
God.
have
Okay.
to you have to answer in a word or a statement maximum, a sentence you can
Okay.
use. All
Okay. I've
right.
never done this before, but I'll try it.
And you will rock, I'm sure about it. So here
All right.
goes the first question. You spend your recreational time indulging in activities like,
Doing nothing and going out for dinner with my family.
wow, doing nothing is such a fabulous thing. We all crave for that. I want to do nothing.
Yes.
All right. Going to the next question. Tell me about a funny or a weird incident in your life.
Oh, there are so many. I think when you work with children, you're in funny situations all the time. But I think my own son, we were in the elevator, and this was, of course, a few years ago. He's 12 years old now, but we were in the elevator together, and there was another lady with us, and he just tells me, "Mom, can you please tell her I don't like her?" And that was a very funny moment. But I was also, like so appreciative of the fact that they just voice what they want to. Kids do
Yeah.
that, and we lose that. So yeah, I'll keep it. Sorry, I have to keep it to one statement, so I'm going to stop there.
That truly was an incident to learn from our children that just be yourself, nothing. All right, moving ahead to the next question. Are you a trained photographer?
Not a trained one, but I love to experiment with photography.
Hmm. All right. What fascinates you as a traveler? Mountain, countrysides, or water bodies?
Mountains.
Mhm. All right. So, which was the last trek you took?
Oh, that was in Bhutan where I did the tiger's nest. And now thinking back, I'm wondering how did I do it?
Great. All right. So, coming to the last question of this segment, which is your favorite song? As you mentioned that you love listening to music. So,
Hmm.
can you sing a few lines of your favorite song too for us?
No, I can't sing, but I can tell you that I love The Universe by Coldplay. That's my current favorite. But other than that, it would be Sacrifice by Elton John.
All right, wonderful. It was great to know you in this segment. So, to all my dear viewers, ma'am loves photography, she loves music, she loves traveling, and there is so much to know more about her. But yes, this is the information that we could gather in a short span. Now, this brings to me to the last question of the show, which is called the viewer's choice question. Though this question has been shared by our viewers, they say that teachers contribute not only to progress of an individual, they are sculptors of future citizens as well. You promote project based learning for an advanced and forward looking nation. So there are 2 point of questions for you. What are your views and opinion on one board, one nation? Do you think that this can go given the demographic, of our country? It's huge and vast.
Seema, when I think of that one board, one nation, I'm thinking of, the model that Finland has. Now, Finland does not have any international schools. Their own education system is something they take pride in, and the entire nation actually works based on that system, which is very, very progressive. So I do think that yes, that is something that we do need to consider, and but also define what that one board means. Now, of course, I'm very familiar with the IB, and I just feel that the whole thrust of the IB is, the whole curriculum is designed based on certain core commonalities that humans have. I'm just throwing out, one speech there, and if educators have time, I think it's a must read. It's called the Educated Person by Ernest Boyer, and he talks of these commonalities that humans have across the world. So why should we be learning different things? Of course, our contexts are very, very different, so that provides that differentiated context that we require. But you don't have to, like, everybody needs to learn the life cycle, everybody needs to learn about time and space, because wherever you live, this applies to you. So I do think that there is value in that. Just looking at our own different boards that we have, you have the Maharashtra board, and you have like the CBSE board, and of course I did the CBSE board, but I do believe that they may be sometimes very specific to region, and they don't
Right.
provide you with that, that global mindset that you need to acquire to be able to operate in the world today. You could be sitting in a small town in India, but still be, working for a company that's abroad, catering to another set of nations. So how do
Right.
you get that readiness in? And I do believe that any board that, the nation designed, like, kind of decides upon, should consider this, that what is the basis of it, and understand the why. So I'm very happy to hear that, in Delhi now, public schools are wanting to, actually implement IB in the high school program. Mumbai is heading
Yeah.
that way. So, like I said, I think there is energy going in the right direction, and there is a lot of value in that.
Certainly, ultimately, why we are all getting educated to earn a livelihood. And when we see ourselves that, it's not just the country we are not restricted by geography anymore. We are connected
Yes.
virtually in pan globe. And you rightly said, are you globally prepared by restricting yourself to your particular region? So when education gives this global presence and global mindset, we are able to collaborate better. And we
Yeah.
are not hesitant when we are working with other people from different nationalities and ethnicity. It's become so simple.
Yes, and Seema, it's by no means undermining your uniqueness in any way. In fact, I think it's highlighting it, because, at our school, we would still study the independence movement, but in a different context. What place did it have in the history of the entire world? Could it have gone a different way? So that's how we are discussing history, not just to, regurgitate it, in a history paper. So it's not about giving up your context. In fact, it's highlighting, making it unique. What did we do? What could we learn from that? How could the course of history have changed, learning from those experiences? So I think this is the understanding that, policymakers need to acquire.
Absolutely, ma'am. Completely agree with you there, ma'am. So, hoping now, let's see how it all rolls out and how our changes happen in the education policy. I'm actually looking forward, and I'm so optimistic that there is something good going to happen. And now we are also talking about the budget allocation, because yes, a lot of promises have been made, but without funds, nothing can happen. Now, when the focus is more on teacher training, on infrastructure, on connectivity, certainly budget needs to go up for education sector.
Yes. Yeah, like you said, we are moving ahead. There is movement. Earlier, you felt that nothing was happening in this field, but I think that, it cannot just be abandoned anymore, or not discussed anymore. So we are definitely on the right path, slow and steady.
And I think COVID brought this thing that it connected us, and this is the silver lining of the COVID, that we all are started taking a step ahead, and we all have started taking education differently altogether now.
Yes, yes, yes. Like I said, you're, sometimes just a click away from advice. You feel stuck. This is what I'm doing with my class. Can somebody help me with this? This is where and you get ideas from all over the world. So that's really, I mean, only COVID taught us that, right? That it's so easy to connect with people. You and I are just sitting here having this conversation. Imagine the whole logistics we would have had to figure out had we want to meet, like on a face to face basis. Yeah.
You rightly said that this, otherwise, without the advent of technology, connecting with you would have been like a dream. I don't know when we would have been connecting, but now so easy. We are having shoots going on globally. We have people coming in from different nations on our show and discussing how education is there and how things can be changed and what is good about our education system. So this all is happening, and this is all because of the technology. So, ma'am, thank you so much for the thoughts, the vision that you have shared. Ma'am, we all are guided by our moral compass and conscious, and we do things in life. And this is the skill we must embed in our children too. And I, on behalf of my viewers, thank you for taking out time to us to talk to us and share your vision as a journey and your journey as an educator with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Seema. The pleasure is all mine. Thank you for having me.